Yeah, no. I promise to not make any more Talking South episodes this year on Wednesday. And yet here I am again, welcoming you to Season 2, Episode 14 of Talking South. You know, what can you do? You can't really plan these things, right? So in daily life, people talk about truth and lies. And in philosophy, we also talk about concept of truth. Maybe we spend some more time delving into the details and the definitions and the hard distinctions within philosophy, and I will try to surf just the surface layers of this problematique, this podcast, and yeah, you basically have two different domains to talk about when it comes to truth in philosophy. You have social truth and something we can call scientific truth. And these are mostly separate, but in some cases they can intertwine, like two hands folded together. So, when it comes to social truths, they are more like one person, one truth, or 20 people can have 20 different truths about something. Let's take this video here, for instance, if you're watching right now. What do you think of that? You have like my story about it, my narrative, my truth about it, and then maybe the 100 people watching it, their versions and their truths. What is really going on here? Who's this guy? What is he talking about? If you ask him to write down 5 lines of text, they will come up with 100 different versions or angles or whatever. Just for this video, if you take the very most simple example, and on the other hand you have scientific truths, like the simplest thing is maybe 2 + 2 = 4, right? Most people on this planet totally agree that 2 + 2 are 4. But what if you use the social sciences method to establish that fact, or to investigate that fact, whether or not it's a fact? Let's say you bring a microphone and a notepad and you go out on the street and you interview 1,000 people of all ages and all kinds of groups that you find in the street. And let's say that a small majority will say, 2 + 2, that's 4, easy peasy, okay? And then there is a small minority thinking it's 5, and maybe a minority saying it's 3. Some people perhaps saying, 2 + 2, that's 8, or 2 + 2, that's 1, obviously, right? And then you get a bunch of young people perhaps saying 2 + 2 is mind your own business, you're a nosy old bugger, That's also an interpretation. So but that's kind of using social sciences methods in a field that is not, that those methods are not meant for, because you should use a calculator or figure it out on paper. 2 + 2, 4. Draw 2 lines and draw 2 more lines, and then count the lines. There are 4 lines, right? So, what's the point of all this? Well, interesting, isn't it? Because when it comes to bigger issues like how many degrees can you warm a planet before it gets into chaotic temperature changes, chaotic climate changes. Today people are saying it's 1.5 degrees or 2 degrees above pre-industrial temperatures. That is the hard limit. You shouldn't go above that, because if you go above, then all hell breaks loose, because then it will just heat up and heat up and heat up, and we are over a threshold, over a tipping point, over a point of no return. And another example for the scientific truth is the question of how warm was the planet in 2019, overall, where first of all you have to define what you're talking about. We're talking about 2 meters above sea level, which is the most usual height to measure the temperature. And are you talking about only land area or ocean area as well? And mostly the scientific models are talking about 2 meters all over the planet, and trying to make an average of that, average for every day in the year and for every point on Earth. But what do you do with Himalayas and Greenland and other places that are not only 2 meters above sea level, right? Do you measure it inside the mountain, or on top of the mountain, or at the foothills of the mountain? Many questions, but the meteorologists have the answers for them, and they're mainly agreeing about how you treat those hurdles. And one could say that there is the concept of one truth about an issue is discussed in philosophy, and when it comes to the temperature of the Earth at 2 meters, you could say that there is a good answer with 2 lines under it. Let's say known only to the universe, or known only to God, which is the correct answer, and then different institutions can try and measure and model that temperature and get pretty good approximations. So they will then have, let's say, scientifically aided social truths about how warm it is, trying to get as close as possible to the absolute truth of the matter. So that's sort of the discussion, that you can think of a concept, absolute truth. 2 + 2 = 4 is an absolute truth, for instance, and the attempts at getting to the absolute truth can be called scientific attempts, and the different, let's say, climate organizations or meteorological organizations, they will have their truths, which are pretty good, pretty close to the absolute truth. So that's sort of the diverse discussion of truth. And when you get back to the question of how warm the planet has become compared to before industrialization in 1750, the mainstream answer today is 1.1 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial. But then they move the baseline and say, they claim that the industrial revolution started in 1850 or in 1950. You know, they come up with all kinds of tricks to make the warming look smaller. So yeah, lots of tricks and half-truths and lies and stuff. As with the 2019 global temperature, there is, however, I would postulate that there is an absolute truth known only to the universe or to an absolute intelligent being or to God, which would say that our planet warmed x.y degrees Celsius since pre-industrial, and we don't know that answer, and you could ask whether our best people are even trying to find that answer, because what you see is that if you look at the different attempts at finding the hard limit for where we shouldn't warm the planet further over time, over the decades, it goes up and up and up. Maybe at some stage in the 70s or 80s we said, no, we shouldn't warm the planet more than half a degree Celsius above pre-industrial. And in the 90s it's like, oh, 1 degree Celsius, you can't go over that, because then the feedback loops will kick in and we'll lose control of temperature, and we'll just boil the oceans or whatever, and go warmer and warmer. And then in the mid-2010s we're like, oh no, 2 degrees. Yeah, this economist over here says that 2 degrees is the hard scientific limit. We should try to limit our warming to 2 degrees. That guy is now saying that 3 degrees would be not so bad. And then some island states who are soon drowning in sea level rise come in and say, let's not have more than 1.5 degrees. Right, so what is the real answer? There are lots of social truths and political truths, lots of party interest truths here, and well, let's just say, for the sake of the argument and for the sake of this video here, that let's just assume, not knowing if it's true or not, let's just assume that the tipping point, the limit we shouldn't go above, was 0.5 degrees Celsius. Let's just assume that for the rest of this video. What then? If the hard limit was 0.5 degrees Celsius, and we lost control when we got over that in the 1970s or before, if that is the case, then all of these UN scientists and COP dog and pony shows about what we should do and how we could coordinate keeping the temperature below 2 degrees Celsius, they would all be swindle, and they would all be a deception to pretend that we can go on with approximately this type of life, and that we still have a carbon budget to spend, to release, just as long as we keep under 2 degrees. So if the real limit was 0.5 degrees, then all we're doing now is, too little too late, and we are still pretending we have a carbon budget, and it would all be a big criminal conspiracy and a deception, and people should really, really, really go to jail for life for these things, right? And also you could have like political parties like Labour in the UK with their Green New Deal, and the Democrats in America with their version of the Green New Deal, and all the local councils in New York and London, and the Parliament in London, and the EU Commission and the EU Parliament talking about the climate emergency, in 2019. If the real tipping point was 1970 and 0.5 degrees, then this is not the climate emergency. This is 50 years after the climate emergency. 50 years after it was too late to do anything about it. And yeah, thank you very much, climate emergency. Yeah. You finally noticed? Okay. Right. So that's that. And I would say that the concept of scientific truth is an important one that we can't really ignore, because it will kick us in the butt whether we ignore it or not. If it's like gravity. You can't really ignore it, because if you lose control of your feet, you will fall to the ground, right? That's gravity, and that's one scientific truth. And you can disagree with gravity or whatever, but it will still be there. And yeah, so it's kind of useless to have your personal, private truth about gravity or about temperature or whatever, because these things are real physical things in the observable world. So just to end this on a more holiday, Christmas-y note, I brought home some Christmas cookies from the store, and when I came home I realized that they contained vegetable oil, or to be more precise, palm oil. When they sack or evict the orangutans from a rainforest area and chop down all the rainforests, burning it and planting oil palms so that they can harvest the oil from these palm trees and refine it and process it and transport it from Asia to Europe, where here in Europe the palm oil is mixed into car fuels and called ecological fuels. That's sort of palm oil, and I also use it for cookies, as I mentioned. And yeah, so how is that for a truth? Is it like my social private truth is that we shouldn't call the rainforest killing palm oil eco-fuel, or we shouldn't mix it into our cookies and everything? Is that just a private matter for me? I would say no, because it's like we're killing the rainforest and killing the orangutan and killing the planet. So I think it shouldn't be up to me and you and all different individuals to say no to palm oil. It should be on a societal scale, that the government or whatever says, no, this is not ecological, we shouldn't run our cars on it, we shouldn't put it in foods, we shouldn't put it in our toothpaste. We should just ban it, altogether from Europe, or from America in my case. Um, so, because it's like, imagine this scenario where you go into your car and you drive your car burning palm oil from the rainforest in Indonesia, feeling very environmental friendly with your eco fuel in your fuel tank, and going to visit relatives where you will eat palm oil Christmas cookies. You know, just total bliss and happiness, and just burning rainforest every second of your Christmas holidays. Fantastic, eh? So, yeah. So truth and lies is a real issue. It's a real thing. Okay, I'll try to keep my mouth shut now. Bye.